Thrilled. We're going to get some closing remarks from a good friend, Gaynor Tenant, and of Offsite Alliance, and also someone who's sponsoring our drinks tonight. And just as I hand over to Gaynor, can't say your name now, Gaynor, that's embarrassing. So Gaynor, let me just leave this thought with you. I am absolutely convinced, and please come and tell me if you disagree, that the understanding we have about the housing crisis right now in all its different constituent parts is absolutely not about a lack of land or finance. It is about a lack of wisdom in our systems thinking. And so if there is a challenge with that, then we need to rethink it. But there is absolutely, to my mind, nothing that prevents us rethinking the systems. We started off at the beginning of the day around health. That's about recalibrating the economics. We know there's land supply out there. We know there's investors that will invest in housing stock. So we started off with a fairly challenging message from Lord Moylan this morning. My point is, let's leave hopeful. But also, can you leave angry? Because this has to change. Gaynor.
I think Jez sort of just closed it, really. You're all desperate for a drink. So I'm Gaynor Tenant. I'm the founder and chair of the chaos-causing organisation, the Offsite Alliance. We were set up by the manufacturers, really, to bring them together, and we support the supply chain to deliver. I've been asked to make some closing remarks today, and it's been just a phenomenal day, and I just want to thank Housing Festival and the Building Centre for bringing this together, because it is incredible to see all of you in the room today. I've spent many years working across the construction sector now, only about 9 in total, not from a construction or manufacturing background, and I come into it and I just can't understand. I sit there with Jess and I go, why? Only 8% of the UK is built on. We don't have a land problem. We don't have all these problems that exist. We create them for ourselves. And yes, we've got a government and we've got to wait on them all the time. But actually, we've got loads and loads of people sat in this room today with the will to deliver. So I'm just going to reflect on today. I'm not going to touch on Lord Moylan. I missed his speech, which is probably a good thing, because I might have started heckling and booing from the back. But we did kick off the sessions today by looking at the connection between housing and healthy homes. And it's not just about putting roofs over people's heads. It is about building homes that support well-being, stability and resilience. And we talked about how poor housing impacts physical and mental health, and we need to rethink the way we design and build our homes for people to live in. Then we delved into the huge big question of how do we move ambition into real action? MMC isn't a futuristic idea. It's not new, it's not modern, it's happening right now and has been for years all around us. But if we want to make it default, we need policy and procurement to back it up. We heard about the challenges, but also the opportunities and how vast they are, of smarter processes, integrated supply chains, and a shift that can make high quality homes happen at speed. Then we saw Tom stand up, which was quite phenomenal, actually. He highlighted the 1 in 21 children, which we've just heard here, that are living in temporary accommodation. And for me, that's where it hits really hard. As a mum of 3, to think about them living in really unsuitable conditions for up to 5 years is just heartbreaking. That's most of their childhood. Tom also hit upon the ability to work collectively, collaboratively. He was pushing for it. We need to get better outcomes, and that is how we'll drive it. Then we tackled the scale, because we all know that pilots aren't really working. And I know there's many of our manufacturers sat in the room today going, I'm really fed up with delivering 5, 10. And Paul touched upon it earlier. We do need consistent pipeline. We need standardisation, consistent pipeline, and just to throw these homes through a factory and do what we're really, really good at delivering. And that will allow us that continuous improvement. We looked at leadership and policy needed to drive success, an island's approach to MMC that shows what's possible when the government backs innovation with real commitment. The lesson? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to take what works and apply it here in the UK. But most importantly, leadership matters. It's key and we need it. Then we dived into affordability and sustainability, 2 things that should never be in conflict. We explored how low carbon energy efficient homes can be delivered in a way that's accessible and cost effective. But overall, we tackle the most urgent issue of 123,000 households stuck in temporary accommodation for years. But every session here today has reinforced one thing, that we have the solutions, we know what works, and we know how to make it happen. So now we've got to work together to make it happen at scale, faster, and with real commitment and drive. But what happens next? Like Jez said, the conversations in this room have been fantastic, but we need to make sure that we don't walk away from here today and sit on it and do nothing with it. So I think we need a plan, and that's a collective plan, that we all leave this room with a pledge. I think firstly, there's 3 components. Firstly, we need to get behind the work of the Social Housing Playbook. There's many of us in this room that have worked with it. Housing Festival have brought it to the table. We need to read it, we need to share it, we need to talk about it. And that's whether you're in policy, development, or in industry. We need to use it to challenge the status quo. If it's process or policy or procurement model that doesn't work, we all need to ask why is that? Because actually the bigger problem is those 123,000 people that need to be at the core of everything we do. Collaboration is key. Oh, you'll hear me say it over and over, but it really, really is. And we can't solve this alone. No one company or one person is going to stand up and solve the housing crisis. So we need long-term partnerships that drive value, not just short-term savings. We need to start communicating, sharing knowledge, and collaborating to get a system that works for everybody. The housing crisis won't be solved by fragmented efforts. So I want you, when you leave here, to go out, have a drink, but I want you to meet somebody that you've never met before. And I want you to explore how you can collaborate together. And then thirdly, it's so important to build confidence. We've got so many case studies. There's so many good MMC systems and housing on the ground. But we need to prove it still. And we need to shift the mindsets and get buy-in from everybody. So we need to make it first choice and business as usual. And by doing this, we need to share success stories, we need to get decision makers bought in, and we need to challenge that outdated thinking. So please don't keep the conversations in this room. Please go away, talk to people that you work with, talk to those clients. And this is what we've done as a collective, is come together with Housing Festival and Building Better, which I'm really proud to say. And we formed a partnership to keep this momentum going. So if anybody's got any ideas, they want to drive it forward with us, please come to us, ask, help. We need you all. So we've all had enough of sitting down today. So the last thing to do is say a massive thank you to everybody who has taken part today. So can I have a round of applause for everybody? And then there's nothing left to do but go upstairs and have a drink. Get on us.